All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the official Paris Blockchain Week podcast. Today's guest is Favio Velarde, Head of Growth and Partnerships at Sologenic, who helps scale the ecosystem to over 300,000 users through a unique blend of creative marketing, tokenization strategy, and cross-sector partnerships. From running an indie record label, got to hear more about that, to launching campaigns in the gaming and blockchain spaces, Favio represents the new generation of Web3 growth leaders. Favio, you've had a super diverse journey from music to gaming to tokenization. What led you into the world of Web3 and ultimately to Sologenic?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
First of all, but like you said, starting from a creative industry, really the value proposition of Web3 was the ethos of decentralization and how faulty systems like royalty payment distribution are.
Yes.
It's so rigged, it's so rigid at the same time, and the same happens with some traditional finances. We're talking about stocks, and we're going to get into that, I'm sure, but
yes,
that's what got me into Web3, just being able to distribute payments instantly
yes,
and more fairly.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. I love that. I actually just did a video for my LinkedIn this morning and just talk about the thing about that we haven't really talked about yet with AI. It's like Web3 came from a very human perspective. You know, it was like going to be the great equalizer. It was going to allow all of us to kind of own, control, monetize our content, and everybody was going to win. I think we're still like haven't figured out that narrative yet for AI. Hopefully, we'll eventually we'll figure that out. But I mean, I think like that's still the thing that gets me most excited. It's like a narrative where everybody can win, because I think there's just like a lot of like friction and issues with a lot of these things, especially music. I mean,
nowadays, being here in the event, I realize that there's more emphasis being put in the business idea, right?
Yes.
In what problem you're solving rather than the coding side of things, because technology is limitless. You can do anything. Innovation is sky's the limit. But when it comes to problem solving, compliance, and things that are human, ultimately, yes, that's where we're pushing the envelope.
Yeah, amazing. So for those hearing about Sologenic for the first time, what's the simplest way to describe what you're building and why it matters?
I would put it in a phrase that goes by tokenizing and allowing trading of capital markets. So revitalizing capital markets and putting them on the blockchain.
Yeah. Exciting. So you've worn nearly every hat at the company since 2021. What's been the most rewarding part of the journey so far?
Oh, I've learned a lot, and I like having both the rational side of things when it comes to BD, B2B partnerships, and the more creative, I wouldn't say irrational, but the creative side of things when it comes to marketing. I would say when they two collide, and just being able to dip my feet in both has been the most rewarding part. But branding and finding the core messaging, like the niche we wanted to pursue with a layer one that we launched called Coreum, for example, yes, or now we're launching a tokenization stocks platform called Solotech. So branding those like products have been, for me, the most rewarding part and also the most exciting part of the journey. Yeah.
Amazing. So we're going to get into a little tokenization, ecosystem growth, and strategic partnerships. So from brand to blockchain, tokenization has gained a lot of buzz, but you've helped execute on it. What does real-world adoption of tokenized assets look like from where you sit?
From where I sit, I think once we see tokenized assets listed on, traditional NASDAQ or exchanges, that's when we're going to be in a leveled playing field. But ultimately, it comes to you being able to access on your digital wallet, right, your crypto wallet, access stocks, real estate investments, and controlling every single yield-generating asset on a same touch point. I think that's the goal. Yeah.
That would be amazing. First guest I interviewed today, I was talking about how it took me like a week and a half to just do a simple wire transfer. Like, I mean, this is crazy. Like, it's 2025 and it's still so much friction. It's so clunky. You're dealing with legacy technology, legacy systems. Yes. And the technology exists where we can be doing all this stuff in real time and safely.
I have a very specific vision on that front because I know very well how banks operate and the legacy systems that they have. We're not going to be able to change all of that. I think it's more about framing our technology as a plugin to ultimately enhance certain parts of the process, so settlements, messaging, but not really like thinking that we can just replace the banking system right off the bat. It's not feasible, Like I think, especially coming from a third world country, I do see the latent issues, but I think it's going to be an uphill race and it's going to take a while.
Yes.
It's not going to be like a flipping of a switch.
Yeah, I agree. So what sectors or audiences are most ready for tokenized securities and digital assets in 2025?
I think anyone that has been in crypto for the last 4 years, and has made some money in crypto, they would love to have the option to diversify their assets into stocks or into stablecoins. The stablecoins, we're already seeing the hockey stick growth curve of adoption.
Yes.
So I think those audiences are going to be the first ones. And secondly, Gen Z, people that are just learning about how to manage their finances. I think it goes along with financial literacy. The new generations, they just want easy access. So maybe they heard about meme coins and that's how they got into the space, but now they learned about stocks that way. And it's a bit crazy to think that's how they got into equities, but I think that those are the audiences that are going to be most excited for it.
Yes, I agree. So growth, go-to-market, and multi-chain expansion. Beyond Sologenic, you've also played a role in growing Coreum. What are you focused now on in terms of TVL, partnerships, and utility?
I mean, launching a layer one from scratch is a journey. It's something that taught me a lot from setting up a set of validators and the trust and the brand behind it, the exchanges where people are going to be able to access the token and ultimately the token utility, and there's a lot of pieces in place. The metrics that we take a look at the most, it has to do with our ethos, which is mass adoption would not come without institutions.
Yes.
So a lot of the moves we made, we've tried approaches where we go directly to builders, developers, and we have the tooling, but our main vertical is to get plug and play solutions for medium institutions, because the bigger ones are going to build their own thing. The smaller ones, probably they're going to use a third-party service, and
Right.
But the medium ones, they want to still interact via API. They still want to have some sort of control over how they utilize blockchain rails, whether that's for payments, whether that's for tokenization specifically.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that in our strategy, I'm day-to-day meeting with and seeing how we can hold their hand in this process, right? So we developing APIs, for example, for DEXs, permission DEX. We did a client for ISO 222 payments for banks specifically. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into there, but ultimately, TVL, it is definitely an important metric, like how many assets are being held on the blockchain and why. Also why, like why are people holding their assets there?
Yeah.
And there's so many routes to facilitate this.
Yeah. That's exciting. So what's been your most effective growth playbook when it comes to sourcing B2B, B2C partnerships in Web3?
I think so far we focused on brands that share our values, and even within Web3, we partnered with BitGo, for example. BitGo has established our record as a qualified custodian, and they were one of the, I think they were the first to deploy a node on a public blockchain on Coreum. Mm-hmm. So now that anyone that's using BitGo's wallet, they can stake as well. So staking has been definitely one of those avenues. Other ones through exchanges as well, partnerships with exchanges from different regions. For example, Bitpanda here in Europe, Bit2Me in Spain specifically. In the US, we worked with Uphold during our launch. So yeah, we're proud of our early stage partners, and we've continued to build with them, because ultimately, as a layer one blockchain, we market through these third parties, through this onboarding experiences.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So how are you thinking about onboarding the next wave of creators and builders across both chains?
Creators, I would say, giving them a way to put their assets on chain the most easy and fast way.
Yeah.
Builders specifically, it has to do with liquidity, because developers want to be where there are assets, there are, there's a chance to make money. So ultimately, I think strategically we want to be able to support the products that showcase quick success and have a sustainable business model, and facilitate for VCs or other accelerators to help them. So I think that's how you build an ecosystem. It's not giving grants for someone to deploy an application doesn't work anymore. You have to have more stake in the game. So some of the deals we make are through foundation delegations, like committing our own treasury, specific notes, and getting institutions or builders to have more skin in the game and build together.
I love that. Such a great way to build. As someone with a creative and advertising background, how do you bring storytelling into highly technical spaces like tokenized finance and DEX platforms?
That's a good question. Honestly, that's something we talk about every day. Storytelling is everywhere, from the way that we dress to the way that we speak, and the events that we sponsor. So, for example, we saw Paris Blockchain Week was very aligned because it's not super institutional, it's not super DJ, and I think it sits in between. And we also host a lot of events ourselves.
Oh, amazing.
Our community is very active, and we resonate with the. I would say they are very research-oriented, but at the same time, they like to get things done. So we are the same. So we're very transparent in the way we're building. We host the spaces. We tell, hey, this week we met with XYZ. We're doing this. Level of transparency. Of course, there's some things that are NDA, and we got to keep it. But yeah, transparency is key to our brand, I think. And
I love that.
The storytelling just comes along with it. Why Coreum? Everything starts there.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the fun part now of the interview. This is always my favorite part, the lightning round.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So there's going to be some quick, short questions. First one, token or broken? What's the biggest misunderstanding people still have about tokenized assets?
I think people think that they can tokenize everything, and there's some things not worth tokenizing, honestly. That's my standpoint, yeah.
Our first guest, Jonathan Farnell, the CEO of Freedex, he said that you can now tokenize uranium. Yeah, he said real estate, it's that's a favorite use case, but he's, cars, art, obviously, but uranium, I was like, wow, that's wow, precious metals, precious jewels, so it's pretty interesting. DEX or REX? What's one UX feature DEXs must improve to attract mainstream users?
DEXs, specifically. I think it all has to do with abstraction, so abstracting the complexity of creating a wallet and having to pay gas fees on a specific token. So if you can take those two out of the equation and somehow route it internally, big win. And then the diversity of assets, right? Like if you have a DEX that only has the native assets that are, tokens of your ecosystem, I think you are one step behind. So that's why we use IBC. So right off the bat, when we deploy DEX, you have all of these tokens flowing in.
That's amazing. All right, OG or OD? Which growth play in Web3 is totally overused and no longer effective?
Airdrops without a market fit. I mean, I was hearing some people complain that their OpenSea account was flooded with NFT airdrops. Airdrops in general could be a good strategy if it's like, we did an airdrop, for example, for XRP holders back in the day when we launched Sologenic, because it was built on that blockchain. So it made sense, right? There's utility for it. But if you're just airdropping out of spite to different communities thinking they're going to convert to yours, it doesn't work.
You heard it here first. Airdrops, OD. Partnership or pipe dream? What's one dream collab you'd love to see happen for Sologenic or Coreum?
NASDAQ. I would say we want to see our assets listed there at some point, and like the path we're in, we're halfway there, I would say.
Okay. DAO or no? Where are we with real community governance? Are we there yet or still dreaming?
I think once we get to a point where DAOs actually have, like repercussions on legal issues, legal matters in the real world, we will be there. But I'm seeing, for example, exchanges that function on a DAO-based voting system that is working quite well. So like, which asset we're gonna list next? There's a voting. So I think that model is proven on Web3. Thing is like bringing it into the real world.
Yeah. All right. Entertain Fi. You've worked in music, gaming, and blockchain. What's the next big fusion of entertainment and Web3?
So many avenues. I'll go with IP rights tokenization. So being able to track where your music is being played. Well, in this case, it's music. Could be photographs or whatnot. Especially with AI photographs and creative assets. Being able to track where it's being used and being able to get paid automatically. That's the main use case.
My first job in Web3, I worked for Mark Cuban, Ashton Kutcher-backed music NFT platform. I mean, it still seems like that's still an issue that needs to be solved.
Nobody has solved it.
Nobody's solved it yet, though. No. But I believe it can be solved. It has to be solved because I don't know how it's going to be done, but nothing. I'm not trying to throw shade on any of the big music streamers or anything like that, but there has to be a better solution.
Everyone's complaining. It's evident that you cannot make revenue out of Spotify or streaming, right? The music has become a means to the product. It has stopped being a product. Like artists don't make money on selling their songs.
It makes no sense because most of the music that I love is smaller artists that I just know are not getting any of the pie.
They have to tour for the living.
They have to tour, or just like even that, But they need money, and a lot of them, the problem is a lot of them can't even afford to make that music full time, so they have to have a regular job. So it's like how do you do it, right? It just seems like there has to be a better solution. Yeah,
we should treat artists startups. Maybe they can have their own token.
I think that's. And I think you need to just have that foundational layer where it's easy for them to do that, and you can scale that up.
If you think you have good taste, for example, and you have some small artists and you invested early, and they blew up,
you create your own music label, right? You're almost like you're creating your own mini music label.
That would be an asset I would invest in. It's
100%
social proven.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite use cases, like for the technology. So I'm throwing you just a question that wasn't here on the list, but who needs AI and blockchain? I mean, I feel like they're running mates, but right now, do you think AI needs blockchain technology more, or does blockchain need AI?
AI needs blockchain. Yeah, definitely. Because we're talking about AI agents, for example. They are not humans that can go into a bank and create a bank account and get KYC'd, right? So they need a layer to transact value, and that's blockchain. AI needs blockchain.
I agree. It's just wild how much IP is just floating out there, like no control. Nope. Yeah.
But we use it, right?
We use it.
We were talking about ChatGPT earlier and how good it has gotten that you now pay the $20, right? So
I know. And it's just amazing all the type of the IP and stuff that's just getting like siphoned off, and the original rights holders, are not getting a piece of it, It's crazy. It's so crazy. So is this your first Paris Blockchain Week, or?
No, it's the second one.
Second one. Yeah. Okay, amazing. Yeah, this is my second one as well. I came for first time 2023. I hosted the Web3 Day, so it definitely feels a lot more mature and business focused this time than when I was in 2023.
Yeah, and the venue is unbeatable. I gotta say,
the venue is crazy. It's like we're in the Louvre. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. So, you've obviously spoken at some of the top blockchain events around the world. What has stood out most to you about Paris Blockchain Week this year?
I think this is the first day, so I haven't figured it out yet. But so far, I would say that the whole industry this year, right? I came from DAS in New York, and now that the several regulations that have shifted, for example, the OCC ruling on banks being able to transact and hold crypto, and the crypto roundtables that the SEC is taking place, our broker dealer is actually participating in this. So
Amazing.
we have various insights on that. But my point is that the whole space is becoming a little bit more institutional. And then, like I said, this event kind of blends both worlds together well.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one idea or conversation you've had here that you think every Web3 builder should take seriously?
I mean, I was at the hackathon during the weekend, and I realized that the judges didn't care about the code.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised because we sponsor hackathons in the past, and code review is like important, but I get it now. Like it's basically a pitch competition. It's like who has the better product and the better product market fit. To get the fastest there. And VCs, that's all they care about. They care who has the fastest potential to make us a return on investment. So that's a conversation that Web3 builders need to have, which means they need to work with marketing and growth specialists, not just developers. You know?
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody that has a layer 1 blockchain, and they said they have a new AI program coming up that's just going to be able to program all like Web3 projects in a matter of, minutes, which is crazy. So I guess the code doesn't matter, right? I guess AI is just going to be doing the coding now, right?
But ultimately, it's what you asked me, like, what's the story, right? That's what matters. Like, you can have the most killer tech, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares. So beyond tokenization, what's the most exciting trend you're seeing in the blockchain ecosystem going into 2025?
I'm very familiar with the deep-in movement and just the possibility to have devices robotics that generate yield. For example, I saw a Robo Cafe project. There's in the San Francisco airport. I saw one actually.
Oh wow!
And you could have a stake on it and generate yield from what that Robo Cafe stand.
That's crazy.
Makes. So that's where we're getting at. Like Deepin, it's similar to tokenization because you're putting like a real world transaction into the blockchain. So I really like that as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. So to close it up, as someone who builds across multiple chains and verticals, what gets you most excited about next year in Web3?
I think next year we're going to see that the walled gardens between different blockchains are going to come down. Interoperability has been a buzzword, but we're finally getting to a point where standards like IBC, for example, the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, are supporting anything from EVM to XRPL. Blockchains that used to be siloed now are able to communicate together. So that's why I think 2026 is going to be like, oh, what chain are you deploying? It doesn't matter.
Won't matter.
Launch here, deploy there, distribute here. Like it's going to be very easy.
That's exciting. That is exciting. Yeah, I mean, there seems like there's so many blockchains right now. It's like, and I think consumers are just like, they're not going to be able to figure out which one's better than the other. Yeah.
So maybe there's just going to be like a predominant wallet that can root them all.
Yeah.
Who knows? Or maybe there's not even going to be wallets. Like I said, it's going to be abstracted, and you just log in with your typical Web2 user face. I don't know, but I'm excited to see that there's less barriers. Like everyone wants to work together. That's something about the blockchain events. Everyone wants to partner some way or another. So
So some final thoughts. What does it really take to grow a sustainable blockchain ecosystem, and how is Sologenic playing a role in getting us there?
Strategy. Like I think you really need to define your niche and what problem you're solving. If you try to tackle a lot at the same time, and we've been guilty of this at some point, I gotta admit, that's where you cut yourself too thin. So I would say story and strategy go together, and then when it comes to execution, having the right team, and you're all set.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so what's the best ways to follow Sologenic, Coreum, and then yourself?
Sure, I'll do a quick plug. So Sologenic, you can find it on sologenic.org. That's where the DEX is, built on XRPL. The product we're launching in partnership with Texture Capital, a broker-dealer, FINRA registered in the US, is called Solotex. Right now, it's only accessible through waitlist.
Yes.
We're planning to launch this during the summer so that you can hold your tokenized Tesla or Apple along your stablecoins and your crypto all in the same wallet.
Wow.
So yeah, make sure to check that out. And to follow me, I'm just Favio. You can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this is an amazing interview. Super excited to follow your growth, and let's do this again soon. So
for sure, you're in LA, so
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasure.
Thanks.